Donald Trump's tariffs on Chinese products have led China's leadership to seek stronger trade ties with the country's neighbor. Chinese President Xi Jinping will visit Malaysia and Cambodia later this week. And today he arrived in the capital of Vietnam for 2 days of talks. For more on this, let's go live to Hong Kong and journalist Patrick Falk. And Patrick, tell us why the Chinese president is in Vietnam.
Yeah, look, it's an incredibly important trip for the Chinese leader, coming at an incredibly sensitive and important time. You know, these countries in Southeast Asia, Vietnam and Cambodia in particular, they are really stuck between a rock and a hard place. They face the prospect of either having to cut some trade with their biggest trading partner, China, or face crippling tariffs from the US. As we know, Washington's biggest gripe with them is that they are being used for the transshipment of Chinese goods, either fraudulently in some cases with false labeling and things like that, to evade duties on Chinese exports. That's something that the Trump administration has made very clear they want to put an end to. So, you know, now Vietnam is in a position where it has to decide what's in its best interest. So President Xi is there to try and compel Vietnam and other countries to stand unified. He talked in Vietnam about the importance of upholding multilateralism and standing against bullying as well. And he talked about the importance of cooperation. Now, he is able to dangle some sweeteners. They signed a series of deals on things like technology, 5G, interconnectivity and rail links in particular, which are going to bring the two countries closer together. But it's difficult to see to what extent Vietnam is going to heed to calls to resist making concessions to the US and hang in tough there. It will be keen to avoid angering Washington any further and reluctant perhaps to align itself with the main target of Trump's tariffs.
And Patrick, what's the reaction been by the Chinese government to the U.S. shifting its position on tariffs over the last few days?
Well, look, China welcomed the move in recent days to remove some of the tariffs on electronics and smartphones and so on. It said that this was the first step towards rectifying what it's described as the wrong practice of imposing tariffs by the Trump administration. But it's also called on Washington to remove tariffs completely and to get back onto a path of treating one another with mutual respect. So, you know, it's unlikely to take kindly to the latest developments. It was perhaps wishful thinking. We did know that there were going to be announcements on the way. And now Trump is saying that there are going to be new investigations into pharmaceuticals and semiconductors as well. Harold Lutnick has also said that there will be special tariffs imposed on critical tech goods from China as well. These are described as special focus tariffs. So Beijing is still very much in Washington's sights. This is going to create continued market uncertainty. But, you know, it's also notable because, you know, what we've seen in the last few days really highlights how American companies like Apple have been big beneficiaries of globalization, something that the Trump administration seems intent on unwinding.
Journalist Patrick Falk live on a Tuesday morning in Hong Kong.